In 2024, there have been some good main events, but they have not been great. So today, we're going to be going through every single division and talking about the biggest possible match you could make.
We're going to make it great. It's going to be great.
All right, we just lost half our audience. Starting off with Flyweight, we have got Pantoja versus Tatsuro Taira for the Flyweight Championship. Lucas, this would be a banger.
Dude, I love this fight so much. The ground game. Okay, look, we always get hated on. You're casuals. You don't like the wrestling. I would love to see this.
It would be such active grappling, wrestling. Oh, it would be good.
Such high level. Now, I want an early prediction. If this did happen, who do you think would win?
Taira.
Really?
I just think we need something fresh, and I think Taira can do it. I think he's likely the most skilled flyweight. So we'll see what happens. I think especially if he can get an early submission, it's in his favor. Obviously, he'd win the fight, but going into that 4th and 5th round, those are the championship rounds. So
yeah, I think with Pantoja, we see him get tired pretty early on in the fight. So if Taira can lock up that submission, maybe in the 2nd round when they're not super sweaty, when you get to that 4th and 5th round, they slip out of submissions so easily. So I could see this being an early submission if Taira were to win. If this goes to decision, you already know Pantoja is that decision merchant.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have Bantamweight. Arguably one of the biggest fights you can make in the whole UFC.
Woo!
Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Basically just Conor versus Khabib reincarnated, and I want to see it.
Yeah, this is the fight to make. I think this is a high likelihood fight. Some of these are just like dream matchups. This is truly the biggest matchup you could make in Bantamweight in 2025. I think Sean takes, like he said, maybe 9 months off, doesn't have to fight number 1 contender. The UFC is going to book him because he is the biggest name. Mm-hmm. Umar wants him, right?
Yeah.
No diddy. Umar wants him.
But yeah, we would have such an amazing storyline we could build here between Sean and Umar, you know? It would really honestly be so similar to Conor versus Khabib, and I'm all here for it. I think the likelihood, you know, as long as Umar can beat Merab, we have Sean come back. He'd probably end up fighting in about 12 months, and we have that fight. No way Umar says no. You know Umar wants that fight. You know Sean wants that fight. You know Dana wants that fight. And if you're Dana, Sean wins, awesome. You have your guy back at the top. Umar wins, solidifies him as a star and the potential like bantamweight GOAT. Like I think that like this fight could go, they could have a trilogy. This is another fight where I would want to see a trilogy of this, especially if like Sean wins, Umar rematch, and then like that rubber match, having Sean come out on top.
I don't know. It's pretty optimistic to think that Sean could actually win that fight. Obviously, anything could happen. It's an MMA fight. But I do agree with you, the fact that Dana wants to book this. Mm-hmm. And he does not have any problem holding up a division. John Jones.
All right. Next up, we have Featherweight. And it's a fight that we've seen once. We've seen it twice.
We've seen it 3 times.
We've seen it 3 times. But I want to see it for a 4th time. I want to see Max Holloway, after he beats Ilia Topuria, fight Volkanovski for the 4th time and have Max Holloway come out on top. How storybook would that be?
Okay, let me be honest. It's the best storyline that you could have. But I want to ask you this. Is Ilia Topuria versus Diego Lopez a bigger fight?
Not yet.
Okay.
I think if we're talking in September of 2024, this is the biggest fight you can make. Year or 2 down the line, you could definitely consider that, because I think that those 2 guys are going to do great things inside the UFC, and they're really going to transition and take the place that VOLK and Max had at the top of featherweight. But not yet. It is still Max and VOLK's division. They're still the faces of that division, even though neither of them are champion. So having this fight happen for a 4th time and kind of be a send-off for the loser potentially. I mean, Max probably wouldn't, but if VOLK lost that fight, what else does he have to do? You know? kind of realized like what made VOLK is also what took him out.
Ooh, that's deep.
Moving on to lightweight, I may be repeating a guy's name. We got Max Blessed Holloway versus Islam Makhachev. Maybe I'm cheating here, but Islam has basically fought everyone at the top of lightweight outside of Arman, and I don't think that Arman is as big as Max. You have this guy who's the #1 wrestler in the UFC going up against the #1 striker in the UFC. It has potential to be amazing. We saw what happened with Dustin versus Islam at UFC 302. Everyone thought Islam was just gonna come in here, take Dustin to the ground and dominate him, but that fight was banger. One of the best fights of the year. So imagine you have Max Holloway, who is as hot as he has ever been, fighting Islam, who is also as hot as he has ever been. The striking in that match, you know, we take a year from now, Max can work on some takedown defense, who knows? That fight has so much potential to be amazing, and I'm sorry that I'm using Max again. I know you probably wanted me to use someone from lightweight. There's no one that I want to see more than Max, and he's technically ranked. He beat Justin Gaethje.
He should be like #3 ranked.
Yeah, so realistically, this isn't that unrealistic. We could see either double champ Max, or, you know, maybe he loses and then goes and fights like Lopez, or...
Wait, we could see triple champ Max. BMF, featherweight, lightweight. That's the dream right there. Retires as a triple champ, the GOAT of the UFC.
I know I kind of just went crazy on a tangent there, but do you have any opinion on that fight then?
Look, I think you talked a lot. I think you said a lot of things. I wasn't listening, but yeah, it sounded good. So let's.
All right, moving on to welterweight. The fight that was already booked got canceled. We all thought it was gonna be rebooked. The one guy's taking a new fight now. It's Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler.
It's weird to think. I looked at this and I was like, this isn't oh yeah, it is a welterweight fight.
Yeah.
They're not welterweights. They're lightweights.
They're lightweights, but neither of them want to make lightweight. They want to stay in welterweight. And I looked if there was any other guys inside of welterweight that would be bigger names or a better fight than Conor versus Chandler. But I just think that the names at the top of welterweight just weren't there, and the guys that were there, I just think handily destroyed. Like, you're not gonna go and put Usman against McGregor. Like,
that's a joke.
The only other fight that you could consider is Conor versus Colby.
Yeah, I think there's a storyline there for sure. But if you had to do contenders, who would you put against each other for the biggest contender fight?
Call me crazy, Shovkov JDM.
It's by far the biggest fight you could make, but then it's like you're taking your two #1 contenders and putting them against each other. I think realistically they probably do Shovkov, Bilal, and then JDM, Gary maybe.
Yeah, if you know us, you know that I brought up this idea of JDM Shovkov being like some trilogy, you know, fighting throughout their whole career like a few weeks back, and we have not stopped talking about it. Those guys are so exciting. And like having two guys that you consider to be like the most exciting fighters in the division, having them in a rivalry, because, you know, Shovkov's gonna so easily play into that villain, you know, like dude is dangerous, like he is so scary. And then JDM being this good guy, you know, from the oceanic region.
The oceanic region.
I forgot if he was from New Zealand or Australia. New Zealand.
No, he's Australian.
Oh, see, that's why I said oceanic region. But yeah, I think obviously Conor, whatever fight he's in, is going to be the biggest fight in that division. But Shovkov and JDM, I would rather see that than Conor fight.
Definitely, me too.
All right, moving on to middleweight. This one needs a place to go with it too. Sean versus Dricus in Africa.
Ooh, that's a good one. They need to go to South Africa. They need to go to Spain as well. They need to start going global.
Dana's been talking about it. There's little mumble jumble about them going to South Africa, having Dricus headline a card there. Having Dricus versus Sean too, there would be so much beef between the two of them. Sean feels like he's robbed. Dricus is proving that he's one of the best fighters on the mic in the UFC. It would be like a year-long build, you know?
Can we see a press conference tour for this one?
Ooh, I would like that.
I also don't think that Sean is allowed in Africa. I don't know. I just get these weird vibes that he wouldn't go there.
He would say some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But this fight would be so good. They've both come out and they've both, I would say, pretty like handily beaten Izzy. You know, Dricus got the better of Sean and it was questionable. You know, lots of people say that Dricus deserved it. Lots of people say that Sean got robbed. So we really do need to see the rematch here.
I agree. This is the biggest fight to make right now. And then after that, it's probably a Hamzat fight.
Yeah, it would be Hamzat for Sean.
If Hamzat can win against Rob, which in Rob we trust. That's all I'm going to say.
All right, our next fight is light heavyweight. It's honestly kind of a calm fight. You know, like these fights are bangers. Next fight, Pereira versus Ankalaev.
Hear me out. Carlos Ulberg versus Pereira. That would be a banger.
But I don't think it's bigger than Ankalaev.
No, it's not. Just because, look, I think I've actually underestimated the Saudi, like that area, the Middle East fan base of the UFC. Because I looked at some of the followers of the Instagrams.
It's crazy.
Islam and even Umar. Umar has 2 million already. That's insane.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's mind-blowing to me. So I think that you're right. Ankalaev does have name value in that Middle Eastern area. And if they did this in Abu Dhabi, it's a massive fight. I don't know if I actually would like to see it in Abu Dhabi because the crowds there tend to be a bit bad.
Like imagine having this, I mean like MSG.
Oh yeah, it'd be great. As a co-main?
Co-main?
I think if it was Stipe Miocic and John Jones, it'd be co-main to that.
Well, I'm talking about, we're not having this at 309.
Yeah.
Like this would be its own card, you know, because by the time we get to this, Pereira's going to have at least one more KO win on his record. Ankalaev would hopefully beat Rakic.
Probably.
So it's definitely the most realistic, and that's why it's the tamest fight on this list. And to wrap it up with heavyweight, the biggest possible fight you could make in the entire UFC, Jonathan Bone Jones versus Tom the Honey Badger Aspinall.
Dude, you're getting that Bruce Buffer voice right now.
Ooh.
No,
New career path?
I think this is the most intriguing fight in the last 5 years. Topuria and Holloway is like realistic. Like that is the best fight I think that I'm probably gonna witness live. I'm manifesting that. But realistically, this fight right here is a super fight. The buildup for it has been a year, and if it actually happened, it would probably be even longer than that because they'd actually have to book it. So look, Tom Aspinall, he's getting better on the mic. He's getting better with his social media. John Jones, obviously, he's the GOAT. It's kind of a passing of the torch. This is the new generation versus the old generation.
And like the back and forth on social media. Every single UFC fan wants to see this fight. They want to see Tom Aspinall slay the giant that is John Jones. Dana White and the UFC are making all of us fans turn on John Jones, and we are all so high on Tom Aspinall. So getting to see this fight, you would have this huge community that would all be so invested into the build-up and into this fight.
It's the fight to make. Dana, book it. Don't let him retire at MSG.
That's going to do it for today's video. Let us know what you think the biggest possible fight you could make in the entire UFC is, or even inside of each division. And we will see you guys next time. Peace.
See ya.